All right, did you start yours?
Mm-hmm. All right. Guys, I appreciate y'all coming out tonight. Some of you on short notice. I'm pretty fired up about this. I don't think you guys realize the dude that you're about to listen to and his story. It's not very often that you get the opportunity to meet people like this, and he's humble. Like he's gonna tell you his story inside and out. But what I can tell you from knowing this guy for like a month and a half is that like he's passionate, he's hungry, he's been through the ringer, and somehow or another he's found a way to take negative experiences and turn them into motivation. And I'm just pumped that our guys and even some other guys that aren't playing for Coastal, like that's great to have you guys come out here and spend the next hour and a half just listen to his story. And if there's one or two things that you can pull away from what he shares that makes you a better ball player or a better person or a better student, then this will have been beneficial. But show some respect for this dude. He's been through a lot. He's ready to start giving back to the baseball world, and that starts with coming out and just sharing, what he's been through. So make him feel welcome. This is Dominic, Listi. Okay?
Thank you, guys. I'm a standard, but I thank you guys again for coming out. It's really awesome to be speaking. Just finished my baseball career not too long ago. This is the most recent season at Clemson. A little bit of background about me. I'll just spit some accolades off and date myself here for a second, just so you know a little bit about who you're hearing from. So out of high school, went to a Division III school. I'm from the suburbs of Chicago. I went to North Central College. There I was, out of three actual seasons, because my freshman year was COVID, I was 3-time All-Conference, 3-time All-Region, 1-time preseason American, All-American, and 1-time All-American. At Indiana State, I was, that's the Missouri Valley Conference, mid-major Division I school. I was All-Conference there. And at Clemson, I was All-ACC tournament, broke the all-time ACC hit-by-pitch record in a single season, led the ACC in on-base percentage that year with like a 5.05 or something along those lines, and then at my Division III also broke, I think, 5 or 6 records. So not a bad baseball player, believe it or not. But I'll start by going into my story. Just want to give you guys an overview of what I want to go over today. I'm basically just going to go into my story. I'm going to be asking you guys a lot of questions. So if you have anything that you want to write down to remember, and I beg you to think of stuff to ask me as well, whether that's about my personal experience, things that are applicable to you guys, whatever it may be, please write down a question. I'd be willing to stay and talk one-on-one if it's personal or to the betterment of the group, because I'm sure many people will think similar things. But I like to think about my story like this. If you think about any story that you truly love, if they all have one thing in common, and that's going to be conflict. And for me, on the field, off the field, and in my head specifically is where I had a lot of that growing up. So I asked you a question early on, and where in life are you still choosing to be safe instead of growing right now? So I'm going to start by my chapter 1 of this story, which is when I'm in high school. I like to label that as identity before growth. For me, I wanted more before I was allowed to want more. And that's where the mindset comes into play. A lot of this is between the ears, fellas. I promise you, I was not a good baseball player in high school. It was all between the ears. I just wanted it more than other people. I really did. So in high school, I moved to a brand new high school. I didn't really know anybody, but I knew something. I knew that I loved baseball. So I just wanted to go after that with everything I had inside of me. Freshman year, I don't know what it's like in high school baseball now, but when I was playing, it was freshman, sophomore, and varsity. I think now in every state it's different. But I got moved up to sophomore as a freshman. I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was so awesome. Had a little bit of clout amongst my peers. Everyone thought we were super cool for that. Within 5 to 10 games, got sent right back down to freshman because I think I got maybe 1 or 2 hits in. That was my first massively humbling experience after kind of talking a big game amongst your buddies, trying to be the cool kid in high school and everything as a freshman, proving myself to my peers. Got shot down real quick, and that felt terrible, to be completely honest. I learned a lot going into that sophomore year and just continued to work. Throughout that journey in high school, I was a massive hothead. I had a lot of passion toward the game of baseball, but I just didn't know how to channel it, and it came off to a lot of people the wrong way. Like when I was younger, for example, I was the kid that cried after every single at-bat I got out. And I know that's a joke, everyone likes to make fun of those kids, whatever it is, but I truly think it's just because I cared so much. I really cared so much about every single thing I did. And in high school, I was still learning how to channel that. Later on in my baseball career, I learned how to handle that a lot better, but in high school, I was still struggling with that. So in high school, I was a two-way player, junior, senior year, started on varsity, did well, but not outstanding or anything, all conference and all that stuff. But was never good enough to be like an all-state kid, never really got any Division I tension or anything like that. But I want to take a step back here to a couple of things in high school that I really remember that still stick with me to this day. I was talking the other day about this. I remember when we were in Spanish class, and in Spanish class we had some little prompt where we had to get in front of the class and presentate. And it was very surface level questions because obviously we're terrible at Spanish in high school, and you're talking about what you want to do in college. And I'm just talking about wanting to play Division I baseball essentially. And I just remember I had a lot of my buddies in that class, and they were just making fun of me the whole time in the back of the class and like just taking jabs at me. And it was a good joke for the next couple of weeks. Like they just, I don't remember exactly what it was, but just taking jabs, man, and that hurt. Like I remember that. And then fast forward the next year in English class, we had to write some poem or something like that and present it in front of the class. And again, I did it about baseball because that's just where my mind was all the time. Again, my boys are just making fun of me, and that really, really hurt me. Because when you're in high school, you care a lot about what your peers think about you. So that knocked me down really quick, and that's where the fear of failing publicly really came into play for me. And I started to push my dreams down a little bit. I didn't talk to anybody about that. I just kind of lived in my own head because I was scared how everyone else perceived me. They all thought that it was unrealistic for me to go try to be a Division I baseball player, or whatever it may be. However, with the whereabouts in that I have now, and the knowledge I have now, I know that the reason they were doing that, and the reason they were acting that way toward me, was not because of anything I did. It was because when you are going after something so passionately, and you know who you are, you know what that does to the people around you? It makes them look at themselves real hard. Because when you're chasing after something with everything you have inside of you, they notice that about you. And then they have to look at themselves and say, hey, I'm not doing that, or whatever that may be in life. So then, as a young kid that doesn't know how to process thought or emotion, they're going to take that out on you. And then you're going to let that affect you. But you always got to remember one thing. Think about it from this perspective. You always want to decipher one of two things. Are you the man in the arena, or are you the man sitting up in the stands eating a biscuit, pointing fingers and judging? You think about anybody you want right now. You look at that TV, you got Josh Allen, you got Bo Nix, whoever it may be, playing quarterback in the NFL. Those dudes are the man in the arena. Every single day you have a ton of nobodies in their basement talking crap about them. That's not what y'all want to be, right? Like y'all want to be ball players. So you got to get in the arena. When you go play at Clemson, man, you got people tweeting about you every single time. Like, you got to stay off social media because you have a bad game, they're going to be talking bad about you. You have a good game, they're going to be talking great about you. Nick Saban calls it rat poison. So what you got to do is just make sure you're always the man in the arena. Don't be the one that's up in the stands eating a biscuit, pointing your finger, talking down on people. So the reason that I didn't change it at that time, and I wrote this down, I hadn't changed yet because the pain of remaining the same still felt safer than the pain it would take for me to grow. I'm going to say that one more time. I hadn't changed yet because the pain of remaining the same still felt safer to me than the pain I knew it was going to take to grow. So I ask you another question. Who are you putting a mask on for? And I'll explain that here in a second. Are you just showing up to practice and doing just enough so your parents who are spending however many $1,000 a year for you to play baseball think you're going after this? Are you just putting that mask on just enough so your coach knows you're doing just enough in the weight room? Or do you actually have that identity before the time to grow to chase after this thing? There's only one way you're going to know if you are that person or you aren't that person. It's the mirror test. My coach Eric Bakich at Clemson always says this. There's one test that trumps everything. It's the mirror test. When you go to get ready for bed at night and you look in the mirror, there's only one person, man. It's you and you. And only you know if you're actually doing it in the depths of your soul. So I ask you and beg you to ask yourself that question before you go to bed tonight. Have a talk with yourself about that. Because I guarantee that part of you knows that you were meant for more, but you're running away from it right now. Whatever that may be to you is very different, but I know to me, it was because I was scared of the fear of judgment or failing in public. So I want to dive into my recruitment story now. Out of high school, like I said, I never once talked to a Division I coach. I never once had a Division I offer. I was talking to a couple Division II schools. I originally committed to this Division III school that was going to Division II. And for those of you that don't know, Division II, you can get athletic scholarship. Division III, you cannot. So I was able to get an athletic scholarship there. Long story short, fast forward, I'm hitting the cage one day with my buddy. A couple weeks before our season starts, I get a call from Coach Smith, the coach at Benedictine. He goes, "Hey Dom, just want to let you know we got a new athletic director, and he said we're not actually putting the funding in to go to Division II, so that means we got to take away all your athletic scholarship." So I'm a couple weeks away from starting my senior season of high school baseball, and I instantly just get hit with a bomb at a school that costs about $50,000, $60,000 a year, that I'm losing my whole entire athletic scholarship, and that's not a thing anymore. So I'm pretty distraught. I have no idea what to do, and I'm basically panicking. I then get back after it, start to try to play the recruitment game and everything again. I get to a point where I get an offer from a perennial Division II College World Series team in Illinois, that's University of Illinois Springfield. The guy, Ryan Copeland, he's now the coach at Northern Illinois who recruited me. I had a bad vibe from him from the beginning, and I just wanted to be at a school so bad, and my ego wanted to be able to post something that was Division II, not Division III, because I wanted all my friends on Twitter, Instagram to be like, "Oh, like Dom's awesome, like Dom's cool, like he's going to that school." So I'm hitting with my buddy, again, same kid. We're in the cage, and I go, "Honestly, I think it's time. I just got to pull the trigger. Like, our season starts in a week from now." So I'm about to call him. I call him. I go, "Hey, Coach Copeland, I'm ready." And he stops me right away because he knows where I'm going with this conversation. He goes, "Just want to let you know we have 2 Division I bounce backs, which means guys that played at the Division I level, and they're bouncing back to D2 because they probably got hurt or weren't good enough at that level. One from Houston and one from, I think, Tulane." He goes, "We're giving away 80% of your athletic scholarship to those guys." So I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I called this guy. I'm about to commit to this man a week before my senior season, and he pulls that away from me. I'll never forget that. Never forget that. And part of me just wanted to still commit because I just wanted to get this over with, but I knew it wasn't the right thing. So hang up the phone, back to square zero again. I'm like, all right, I think I'm probably just gonna have to end up going to the local junior college or something. But I had a good relationship with Coach Heller, the assistant coach at North Central College at the time. He's now the head coach at Elmhurst College, another D3 in the Chicagoland area. And I call him and I go, "Hey, just explain the situation to him." He goes, "We still want you there. So I'm going to a Division III school. I'm paying for my own school now. I don't have any scholarship." Completely humbled me. So that summer, after my senior season, I had a really, really bitter taste in my mouth toward all these people that kind of just wronged me. So I come across my first mentorship opportunity, or an opportunity to throw myself into the fire and grow a little bit. And it was called Back Baseball. At the time, I think he has well over 100,000, 200,000 followers on Instagram now, doing very well business-wise. At the time, he was just a recently graduated college guy like myself, and I'm like, this guy seems to know baseball. I want to work with him. He knows the swing. I like the way he talked about the swing. I'm like, I need to change something because this is not working anymore to the way I want it to. I go, "Hey Dad, I think this is about $1,200 or something for the full summer. I want to say 3 months of training, remote training." I go, "I know that's a lot of money. Would you be willing to split this with me possibly? I'll work the rest of the summer when I'm not training. I'll get enough money to try to start saving some stuff up for school, but also to spend toward this mentorship." My dad goes, "Better yet." I'm very supporting dad. Very supporting dad. Never once played a varsity sport in high school, but wanted me to be successful very badly. He goes, "Better yet, you track every single thing you do and you present it to me. I'll pay the full price and I'll get you any equipment you need for that." And instantly it kind of clicked for me. I'm like, okay, my dad's spending a lot of money because I'm a kid right now. $1,200, that's a ton of money to me, a ton of money. And I go, I'm going all in on this. So I track every single swing I take that entire summer, man. I'm telling you, even on the tee, 3 swings high and away, 3 swings middle, 3 swings long and away. Same thing on all sides of the play, 27 swings through each time. And I go, tracking every single swing off the machine, videotaping my swing, sending to him, getting his feedback, breaking it down, tracking every single calorie I ate that summer, learned about how to track my nutrition, learned about how to track my speed, go after my speed, like everything, man. That's the first time I was so locked in on proving people wrong in my life. That's when I finally learned how to work. I finally learned how to get after it. So now I'm moving into my second chapter, what I like to call pain as a catalyst. And I said, pain becomes fuel when you stop numbing it. Sometimes you gotta look in, man. You gotta look in. We're all guilty of this in a day and age where we have our phones, where we're just on our phones all the time. I can promise you I'm guilty of it as well. I'm on my phone too much sometimes. But you're avoiding the things you need to face as a baseball player. You need to understand yourself as a baseball player. You need to understand the things that you do well, the things that you do terrible, and everything in between. And the best way to do that is to take time with yourself. So that summer I was able to use that pain for the first time to get after it all and really lock in. So my freshman year at North Central College, I go there and all I want to do is play. All I want to do is do everything to play. Everyone says that, but I embodied that. And I took pride in embodying that over everybody else. But I said, you got to play the game as well. You can't go around being a self-righteous asshole. You got to be wise about the way you carry yourself as well. So I went in there just saying, like, I just want to do anything I can do to contribute to the team, whether that's base running, defensive replacement, whatever it be. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want your job. I'm taking your job. Like, I'm taking it, like, straight up. And I told myself that every day. Before I went to North Central College, I looked up every single kid that was there. I knew all the kids that were playing, all the kids that were leaving, all the kids that were on the bench. I knew exactly what I needed to produce to get out there on the field. And I went after it as hard as I possibly could. The way I did that was I surrounded myself with the right people. I instantly found those upperclassmen that were in good standing with the coaches. I found those upperclassmen that knew what they were doing. They knew the blueprint to be successful at that level. So I went around Rob Marinak and Eric Outlaw, two of the guys that changed my baseball career more than they even know to this day. And I just hit with them every single time I could. Every single time I could, I slowly weaseled my way into their friend group of juniors and seniors. And I was just like, I'm going to hit with you every single time because the freshmen, yeah, sure, I had my fun, but they were having too much fun. Like I'm like, I want to play. I'm going to embody this every single day. Keep in mind, this is a Division III school, so we're hitting, this is nice. Like, we didn't have this. We were hitting inside on basketball courts. We had to roll the cages down, and we could only hit at the times that men's basketball, women's basketball, men's volleyball, and women's volleyball weren't practicing. So that either meant basically 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. essentially. So we're out here at the crack of dawn or the dusk of night, hitting every single day, going after it with every single thing we have. And this is where I think it paid dividend for me in the future at my Division I schools because I just had a different perspective and a different hunger than these other guys did. So freshman year, ended up being the starting center fielder for what was the number 3 Division III team in the country. This was the COVID year, so we only played 7 games. We went 7-0. That was a really special team. One of the most fun I ever had playing baseball in my life. Granted, it got cut short sadly. I was the only freshman playing on that team, and got my first real taste of success, man. My first real taste of success. When you guys did that, I really hope you remember how dangerous it is because it was dangerous for me. I started to feel myself a little bit too much. I thought I was awesome because I was a freshman playing at a D3 school. I'm still a little nimmo in this scheme of college baseball, man. Like, I'm nothing, but I thought I was everything. So that summer, some personal stuff happened. It was COVID. I started putting all my time toward a girl, and I was all in on that, got screwed over, completely destroyed me. But it was the best thing that happened because it got me away from that complacent mindset I had toward baseball. I started thinking I was just going to replicate this year after year after year because I just tasted 7 games of success. 7 games of success. You kids got to realize it. You know nothing. Your dad, I'm sure all your dads have told you that, your mom told you that a million times. Like my dad would always tell me, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And I did not know a lot of things, I'll tell you that much. So that really fueled me, man. Again, pain as a catalyst. I started to lift 2 times a day in COVID because I had nothing else to do. I was finding any cage I could sneak myself into because of all the COVID regulations and everything. I did everything I could to get back after it. Sophomore season, come back in the fall, I'm feeling really good. I'm locked in again, tear my meniscus in the fall. I'm like, great, I'm gonna miss the full season. I go to a surgeon, he's like, yeah, it's like a year-long recovery. And I go to another one, I'm like, I don't like this guy. I don't believe him. I want to play. So I get a scope done. I'm out there playing 2 months later. I've started to play every single game there. Keep in mind, I started to play 166 games in a row, never missed a single game of college baseball, started every single one. Your best ability is availability. Sophomore season, I had that. After my meniscus got torn, I said to myself, I can either break or kind of rebuild. And that's kind of where it all started to happen for me. That's where I started breaking records, and that's where everything started to change. So chapter 3 now, growth through ownership. This is a quote from Alex Ramonzi, if any of y'all know him or not. He's a business guy online. Confidence comes from evidence. You don't believe in yourself first. You do the work first. Stack unquestionable proof. Then belief follows. If you think about the movie Rocky, I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen it, especially the dads, but the Rocky montage that we got. The Rocky montage is about 5 minutes long in the movie. You know how long it is in the real life of the story? It's 5 years long. We all like to look at the story at the beginning and then the story at the end. I'm the end product of it, man. Like, I skipped over so much of the stuff in the middle. So you just need to realize that all. Like, the work, the beauty's in the mundane. Like, that's where you become amazing. It's doing the little simple things excellent. Excellent. And that's the Rocky montage right there. My high school coach would always say that, and it's always stuck with me. Always stuck with me. So, junior year, skyrocket. That's another amazing season. Like, hit 380 or something with a 5-something on base. Senior year going into it, that's when I was a preseason All-American, and that's when things start to kind of go a little bit interesting. I still statistically did very well. 375 average or something with a 4-something on base. But it was a little uglier. It was a little grittier at the plate. And this is where my career starts to get a little sloppier. So at the time, I had a 72-game on-base streak, which is the third longest in Division III baseball history at the time. Have a game at Carthage in Wisconsin. I go 0 for 5 with 3 or 4 strikeouts. I don't even remember because it was so bad. I just wanted to erase it from my memory. I lose that on-base streak. This is where my coach starts to play mind games with me a little bit. He comes up to me next day. He goes, "Hey Dom, next weekend we're thinking about giving you a rest. I didn't want to take you out of the lineup because you had a 72-game on base streak. I wanted to respect the record that you had going on, but things just aren't looking right. Just take a step back here. Hitting 375 with 5-something on base, and this is where the mind games start to happen. I'm like, hey, what's going on here, man? Like, I really didn't like it. I've never been somebody that points fingers at coaches. I've never been that person, never will be that person. I think it's a terrible trait to carry. But you also have to protect yourself and know. So it's the first time I ever called my dad and was like, hey, am I seeing this the wrong way? Or am I kind of getting toyed around with and pulled around here? So this was the summer before this. My coach was telling me that he was going to get me into Cape Cod League, which is the most prestigious summer baseball league. It's just all Power 5 baseball players and draft prospects. He lied to me through his teeth about that. And then he told me he was going to get me the Northwoods League. Lied to me about that to the point that kept telling me he was going to get me there. The summer comes around. No roster spot to be found. So I'm left with no team. And I'm like, what just happened? So I ended up just working at a car dealership that summer. I didn't even play baseball and training because I had no team. Little do I know now with this perspective, I think he was trying to keep me away from one of those leagues. Because if I got in one of those leagues, they would have seen the type of baseball player I was. And that's why I noticed the mind games. So you got to look out for yourself in these situations. So, senior season ends, and I started to feel unsettled. Something didn't feel right. And growth eventually demands a new environment. I didn't know what it was at the time, and I'm like, I want to keep playing baseball. I have 2 more years of eligibility because of COVID years. But I don't want to be here again. So one of my buddies, AJ Hanko, who played Division I baseball at the University of Illinois, Chicago, you ever thought of the transfer portal? You want to come play at UIC? I'm like, no, but screw it, I guess. So I go to my coach's office. I go, hey, Coach Matthew, can I talk to you? So we talked for a long time. He did not expect it, and I sit down to him, very emotional conversation. I'm crying because this is everything I knew. And I said, hey, I'm going to the transfer portal. I'm going to see what's ready for me. I can't be here anymore. He goes, okay, you can do that, but you belong And if you find anywhere that's going to take you, you're going to be at one of the worst schools, in the worst conference at that school, and you're going to be on the bench. He's like, I'd be surprised if you could hit 200 at the Division I level. Go, okay. So step out. A little bit later, he tells me, kind of starts playing games again with me again. Hey, if things don't work out, you can come back. He just starts doing that because I think he thought that I wasn't going to get anything. So I, at this time, really had to start to take things into my own hands. I built out a whole spreadsheet of every single mid-major school in the country. Every single one. I didn't even think about the Power 5 schools because I thought I wasn't good enough. But I emailed every single school about 6 times through. Basically crickets. I had essentially nothing. That's thousands of emails at that point. I had nothing. I was working at Bill Miller Training at that time. I had enough money saved up to go do training with Bill Miller Training, who's amazing in the Chicagoland area. And he's like, hey, I got this guy that they really need outfield help in the Northwoods League. So I go out there, first game, hit a home run to dead center like 420 feet off of a kid from Georgia Tech. And next thing I know, I'm getting calls from a couple Big Ten schools. I'm getting email. People are starting to respond to my emails. I'm 8 or 9 email rounds through now, and I finally get a response from Indiana State that goes, just, have you found a school yet? I go, no, I haven't. They're like, we're going to send somebody out there. Indiana State just went to a super regional the year before. So I'm starstruck. I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm one of the teams that was the top 16 schools in the country at that end of the year is talking to me. Like, I just had nothing 2 weeks ago, and things change fast. And it's like, again, taking a step back to all that Rocky montage, man. Like, it all happens so fast, but what people don't see is years and years and years of pounding your head against a brick wall until it finally breaks down for you. So that happens. I have a game. I go, hey coach, I got Indiana State recruiters. They're coming today. Like, can you play me? He's like, I got you. You're playing both games of the doubleheader. So there's a couple thousand people at the game. I don't know where they are or when they got there, when they left. I just remember taking my BP in the cage and they're sitting there just videotaping me from like a foot away. They didn't even say hi to me or anything. And I'm like, these guys are intense. Holy cow. And then I go into the game. Have a decent game, like nothing crazy, and they offer me a walk-on spot. So I'm like, I'm in. I am so in. So I go to Terre Haute, Indiana, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's a crack riddle town, but they're good at baseball, so I was there. Blindly moved there and was all in on that. So when I go to Indiana State, I had to really think about myself as a baseball player. As I said, I was a hothead, right? I was very ego-driven at my old school. I always was like, I need to get more attention. Like, they're not giving me enough attention. I have all these records. I was like 72 game on base rate, like me. And I go, so this is not going to play at a school where I'm a D3 kid coming in and these guys don't respect me. Like, they were just in a super regional. I am nobody to them. I'm the dirt beneath their feet. So I completely changed the way that I do this. I'm like, I have a cool opportunity here. I was stuck in a little fish tank now at North Central College where I was kind of stuck to the way that all my peers viewed me. I fell into a persona already. I already had a different identity that people saw me as and I saw myself as. But I'm going to this new place and I'm like, I can change myself into anything I want to be now. So I really embody it. I'm gonna be that really good teammate. I'm gonna be that guy that's the first to give you a high five after you do something cool. I'm gonna tell you, I'm like, dude, that's a sick outfit today. I'm gonna tell you, dude, that was an amazing swing. Like, talk to me about whatever it may be. Like, and it was amazing for me because that fall was very, very hard. It was the hardest time of my entire baseball career. It felt like 2 years. I could not get through that. It was like Navy SEAL hell week, it felt like for me. Just in a perpetual state for 3 months straight. And I went in there having absolutely no merit whatsoever. Everyone viewed me as a D3 kid. Nobody expected much to me. When we'd all like go and hang out with each other, we'd talk about the team and we'd be like talking about who's gonna play that year. Nobody ever said my name. Like, I would just talk to them and they'd be like, oh, like this guy's gonna play, like, oh, that guy's gonna play. Nobody thought anything of me, and rightfully so, because I probably hit about $1 something that fall. It was brutal. But and also on top of that, I literally showed up the first day of training. We were doing some sun drill where they hit the ball, they say it, you turn around, and the sun was in your eyes. I missed like 10 fly balls in a row, like blatantly missed 10 fly balls in a row. And it got to the point where our coach stopped the whole practice and he goes, everybody watch Dom right now. Like, he's gonna try to catch the fly ball. He's missed like 8 in a row already. And I literally couldn't catch it. Like, I I don't think I caught one. I think it hit my glove, and they all started cheering for me, and they decided to stop. And it was humiliating, like humiliating. This is 2 weeks into fall ball. I'm completely new. I'm still like trying to make friends and everything. I go home. I call my girlfriend, who I met at North Central College, and I'm crying. Like I'm just crying. I'm like this is unbelievable. I don't even. It feels like I've never played baseball before. Like this is embarrassing. Like these guys are just so much better than me. I can't get out of my own way. I literally couldn't catch a fly ball today. Like I could not catch a fly ball as a Division I baseball player. That's embarrassing, man. Embarrassing. So after talking to a lot of different people and just kind of getting my feet beneath me again, I just kind of went back to that mentality, that mindset I embraced when I came in. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm gonna not play. Maybe this is gonna happen. I knew this was a possibility. Like I went into this thinking to myself, I could look like a fool. I could fall flat out on my face with all this. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I tried. I was the man in the arena. But I slowly started to earn respect. I slowly started to push myself forward a little more. I started playing better. First fall scrimmage we had about halfway through the fall against Indiana, the way they do it at Division I schools is you play like an 18-inning game against a different school, and they'll throw it like 9 or 9 or whatever, but technically it has to be one game. So the starters will play like the first 12 innings, and the backups will play like the next 7. I think I came in for the backups as the backups the first game against Indiana. I wasn't even sniffing the depth chart, essentially. I just kept going, I kept building. The falls are long. And I felt like I slowly started to get a little bit, people saw the way I went about it. They started to respect me a little more. And right when I started to get feeling good, a couple weeks before we played Illinois, I'm like, I might sneak my way into starting in the backup squad like this one. I like strained my quad pretty bad, and I'm like, this is terrible. And my coach is like, he told us he didn't believe in injury. Very old school, hard old guy. So I keep playing through it, and I'm like dragging my leg I'm eventually dragging my leg. To this day, you can't really see it, but I have a literal hole in my quad right here from this. Like my quad is shortened because I ended up carrying my quad that fall because I played through it. But I ended up starting against Illinois in that fall game. I played all 18 innings on a torn quad, running like a complete idiot, but played pretty well actually. And I was able to rest it after that game because the fall was over. So I'm like, I have a chance. I just started with these guys. Like, I'm sniffing this right now. So we'll fast forward a little bit to the day before our first game. Me and this other guy are kind of getting pinned up against each other for the left field spot at this point. The day before our first game, we're facing Louisville, who, most kids that love college baseball, like, you love Louisville. Like, it's a blue blood team. When I was growing up, Louisville was even better than they were now. And when you're from Chicago, like, if you're a stud, that's where you go. You go to Louisville. So I'm looking at Dan McDonald at the other dugout like, this is crazy. I was playing in front of 50 people a year ago, and they were all moms, dads, and girlfriends at our Division III baseball game. There's nobody there. Now I'm playing in front of 5,000 people with Dan McDonald in the other dugout. I'm like fangirling right now, and I'm about to get ready to play my first game. But the night before that, our coach goes, all right, we're essentially going to have like a duel off to see who plays left field tomorrow. So he sets up the eye pitch. And for those of you that don't know, the eye pitch is essentially this really cool piece of machinery where you can take in like the spin rates, the angles that the pitcher throws and everything, and essentially simulate who you're going to face the next day. So he sets it up for this guy, Sebastian Gongora or something like that. Some 6'8" lefty that Louisville had throwing 95. And he goes, all right, Dom, you and the other kid I'm going against, basically whoever hits better, you get to play tomorrow. So we're just kind of dueling against each other for who's going to start, and everyone's just watching us, like knowing about it. Like we're all like whispering, like, yeah, that was good swing by Dom. Like, oh, that was better swing by him. And next thing you know, a couple rounds in, like I'm like, I think I got that. So I don't really know, but I'm going into the next game tomorrow. I finally see my name on the lineup card. I'm like, batting 6th, I think. I'm like, holy cow, this is actually happening. And it was one of the most fun games of my life. I think I went 2 for 3 with a walk and hit my pitch or something. I've never felt a more exhilarating baseball game. And I go, wow, Division I baseball is fun, man. This is awesome. So at that point, I just took it and I ran with it. I kept the same mentality. I hit 570 or something the first weekend through the first 4 or 5 games and just kept it going. I never slowed down. I never turned back. That was always the mentality. It's like when someone gives you that chance, man, you just got to grab by the balls and go. don't ever give it back. Don't even give them a chance to take it away from you, man. Once you get it, you run with it. You run with it like it's yours. And that's what I was able to do. And I ended up having a great year. I ended up having so much fun. We ended up losing in the regional championship at Kentucky, which was an unbelievable experience. And this parlays into now where I go into the transfer portal after that. At Kentucky, it was a very sad way to end my season. That was so much fun because Kentucky, I want to say, had about 9,000 or 10,000 people at that game. They're right on top of you. They put extra seating in. I'm in left field. These guys are on my Instagram. They know everything about me. They know my girlfriend. They are laying into me, man. And I've never had anything like that happen. Never had anything like that happen. And I'm sitting out there, and what we like to call at Clemson in our mental game training is we talk about your headspace kind of as like a stoplight. So you got green, yellow, red, obviously. I was in red, which is just like you forgot how to play baseball, essentially. And it came back again, kind of. Like I just completely lost it. And I want to say I went like 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts where I chased out of the zone, and I was a very, very disciplined player. Like, I was so lost, and I remember my coach pulled me in the dugout, and he's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you are lost right now, and just laid into me like none other. And it was a humiliating way to kind of go out, which what I thought was going to be my last college baseball game ever at the time. So I was just distraught after the game because I'm like, I just played terrible, and this could have been my last game ever. I really thought we were going to win this regional, to be honest with you. So fast forward about another week, we're wrapping up the season, we're having our meetings, and I tell my coach, I was like, I can't do this again. Like, I'm done. I had 1 more year of eligibility, but I just turned 22 at the time, and I'm like, I think it's time. I think it's time to move on. And it took, like I said, that fall was the hardest thing ever on me. Like, truly the hardest thing. I put everything I had into this for a good 9 months straight, man. It took my soul. Like, I was depleted. So I told him, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I just have to be. And I had too much respect for him to go into transfer portal. I just really had too much respect for him because he gave me the chance at the Division I level. He gave me that chance there. So a couple days later, he ends up taking the job at South Florida University, which is in the American Athletic Conference. So I go, whoa. Maybe I'll go to him to South Florida. Like, that's kind of cool. Change it up, like get out of this bad town. And I end up throwing my name in the transfer portal, as a lot of our kids did. We had an unbelievable team that year. Every kid either got, on our starting lineup, either got drafted or went transferred to a Power 5 school that year at a big major. It was a special team. But I ended up going to the transfer portal, and the next 2 days were very cool for me because I got to tell a lot of people to go kick rocks that told me no beforehand. So I had, remember when I said UIS, Ryan Copeland? I don't care if he sees this, but he calls me, the first time I was in the transfer portal, going to Indiana State, he calls me and he's like, yeah, we're gonna bring in like 75 guys, which is a ridiculous amount, by the way, for those that don't know. Your roster is 40 or 45 or something like that. And he's like, we're just gonna bring them in 11, compete in the ball. He's like, I'll let you walk on and try to get on the team. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then the second time around, after the Indiana State season, he's like, hey, you wanna come to NIU? I'm like, dude, you guys won 10 games last year. Like, go away. Like, no. I was just all conference at a team that was top 25 in the country. And a lot of these other schools that were just tugging me around and toying with me, come back around, and I just was like, I was having fun with it. I'm like, no, and just loving it. So the first 2 days, I had, no joke, 2 days in a row, 8 hours of just straight phone calls with teams, and it was very, very rewarding. It's one of those times in your life where you are happy that all that work, you get to see your work come to fruition, right? But I remember watching Clemson play Florida in the Super Regionals, and I got a follow from Coach Mazer at Clemson, who was our first base coach and one of the assistant coaches there. And I'm like, there's no way Clemson would want me. Like, I thought I was just going to upgrade to another better mid-major school, or like maybe a Big Ten school or something like that. I didn't think I could go ACC or SEC. And all of a sudden they start coming around, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So Clemson calls, and I'm like, I'm all in. I'm sitting in the basement with my buddies watching some meaningless NBA game. I get a call from a Michigan number. I'm like, Michigan coach, like, I don't want to go there. I want to go somewhere warm. But I'm like, I guess I'll answer whatever. So I answered, and it's Eric Backage, our Clemson coach. forgot that he was the Michigan coach when they went to the College World Series in 2018 or in 2019 when they were in the College World Series championship against Vanderbilt. He was the coach there, so he had a Grand Rapids, Michigan number, or a Ann Arbor, Michigan number. And I start talking to him. I'd never even been to Clemson, South Carolina. I commit on the spot on the phone, like at 45 minutes into a conversation. I'm like, it just felt right. So I ended up committing to Indiana State and to Clemson on the phone without being to either place. Like, that's just me. I'm crazy like that. So I just did it. I went after it. It just felt right. It just felt right. So I ended up calling my Indiana State coach, who's now at South Florida, the next day, and I go, hey, just wanted to let you know and get your perspective. Like, I committed to Clemson. He goes, you're a fucking idiot. Like, you are never going to see the field there. At least you're going to be able to walk around with a Clemson shirt when you go to your, like, local, what you guys had for Coastal, like, your local travel ball place. At least they'll think you're cool because you'll have a t-shirt from Clemson, but you have no chance there. And I'm like, what just happened, man? Like, I thought we were cool. And I ended up, we still have a good relationship to this day. Like, it's just his personality. Like, it's just how he is. It's not going to make sense unless you're with that guy. But we joke around about it now. But he told me I was making a mistake. I was super scared. I'm like, maybe I have no idea what I'm getting myself into now. But brought the same philosophy toward it and just grinded after it with everything I possibly had. So that was the best baseball season of my life. It was the best I ever played as well. It was the most fun I ever had. Played in front of 10,000 people. Every single home game had 6,000 to 8,000 people there. It was unbelievable. It was the first time in my life where I said back earlier at North Central College, I felt like I was underappreciated. Nobody gave me the attention that I thought I deserved. But at Clemson, you got that. All these fans, they fell in love with me. They saw something in me. I think what they saw in me was I was just like them. I was a fan, but wearing a jersey. I just cared like a fan. Every time I did something cool, I was screaming my head off. Every time one of my boys did something cool, I was jumping and hugging him. Like, I was just that crazy, passionate baseball player. And I think it resonated with the fans. And I was just so comfortable with myself that I was able to be my authentic self, like I said earlier. Because I don't know if y'all know who Cam Canarella is or not, but he was my boy at Clemson, just got drafted the first round by the Marlins. And what I like to say to a lot of kids that ask me my biggest piece of advice, I say, everybody tried to be like Cam Canarella. I tried to be the best Dominic Listi I could. Because everybody wants to be like that star player. But what you need to realize is being like that star player is not going to make you him. You got to be the best version of you. And that's what I was able to do. You got to be a hedgehog. That's what we would say. Be a hedgehog. And a hedgehog knows their dang job. You just got to know what your job is and do that. My job was to wear a pitch, scream in the pitcher's face, and go to first base and get to first base as many times as I possibly could. I was the psychopath of the team that just got to first base over 50% of the time. That was me. Everybody needs someone in a lineup like that. I wasn't going to go try to hit 20 home runs because I would have been terrible and I would have never saw the lineup. And that's where I saw a lot of kids that were much more talented than me at Clemson, a lot of kids that were much more talented than me at Indiana State. They fell flat on their face because they were trying to be somebody that they weren't. You got to figure out who you are as a baseball player, man. You really do. And that's what's going to allow you to be the best version of yourself. Because maturity plays at the next level, man. And everybody tries to be something they're not. If everybody's trying to do the same thing, you're not going to differentiate yourself at all. So that's a big, big thing that I would hope y'all can take away from this. But every major leap I had, just every major leap I was able to have just happened faster and with less damage because I was able to find people around me that helped guide me through the process. So if y'all are able to find somebody like that, that's one of the biggest things I could give you. Because for me, neither one of my parents really played varsity sports or anything like that. They never played a college sport, obviously, as well. And I was just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck. So for me, why I'm so passionate right now, trying to give back and trying to get involved in this space as well, is because if I think about the younger version of me right now, and the younger version of me and the version of me right now, if I could give him what I know right now, he could have maybe achieved even more. Because the season I just had as a graduate student at Clemson, if I had that season as a junior, I would have got probably drafted in the 10th round or earlier, and I could have made well over $500,000 in a signing bonus. I could have made a ton of more money in NIL, whatever it may have been. So What I want the parents and the kids to understand is that timing is everything in the game of baseball. Timing is everything in the game of baseball. The difference of 3 months, the difference of 6 months is the difference between you being able to play at your dream school, you being able to even maybe play college baseball, the difference between you getting drafted or not getting drafted, the difference between you getting a $20,000 NIL deal or a $250,000 NIL deal. Whatever it may be, numerical amounts of money or just the sheer what you poured into this game because you love it. And for me, I wouldn't have changed it for anything. But it is something I think about. I'd be lying if I said every once in a while, I don't think about it. If I was able to get to that spot faster, maybe I could be playing affiliated baseball right now. Maybe I could. When it all was said and done, I could have pursued a couple free agent deals that would have signed me for essentially no money, but it was not the right choice for me in my life. And also a fun fact about me is I turned down an opportunity to join the Savannah Bananas new draft league they had. But it just didn't feel like the right point for me at that point in life. So, I have I have a couple of takeaways I want to go through for this all, and a couple questions for you all, and then that's it. So first is the pain equation, like I kind of talked about earlier, is that nothing changes until the pain of remaining the same outweighs the pain of growth. That's very important to understand, because we all want to sit there and mentally think about the future. We all want to sit there and just have fun thinking and talking about it. But actually doing it, there's a lot of pain that comes with that in anything in life. So until the pain of remaining your old self is greater than the pain it's going to take for you to make a change, you're not going to change anything. So that's why I said sit with your pain earlier. Second is that I said earlier, confidence is evidence. It's not a feeling. So keep the promises to yourself and stack that undeniable proof to yourself. Third is that environments will demand evolution. Sometimes growth requires a new environmental challenge. Fourth is that you have to have discipline without motivation. Motivation is unreliable, and identity is reliable. And that relates back to earlier, is finding your identity before you have growth. And then finally is that I truly believe that mentors will compress the time it takes for you to get to your highest level, as I stated earlier. It's basically allowing you to have a bridge from where you are to where you want to go and trimming all the fat off the edges without having to just try random things and you have a zigzag portion. So a mentorship is not going to remove pain, but it's going to prevent you wasting time and turn years of guessing into a plan. So the 3 questions I would give you now. Before that, and I want you to remember one thing as well, is that you cannot think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into a new identity. I'll say that one more time. You cannot think your way into a new life. You have to act yourself into a new identity. I had a lot of imposter syndrome, and I just put myself out there and acted like I was. Fake it till you make it, the famous saying. Just truly fake it till you make it. For me, the moment I stopped doing it all alone is when everything changed. And then something I want y'all to write down just for yourself is I want you to write down one promise you're going to make to yourself that will prove to yourself that you're serious. One promise that you're going to write down that will prove to yourself that you're serious about this whole college baseball thing. And then I want you to identify one person that you're going to ask for the truth. That's a hard thing to do. And a lot of young men do not have those uncomfortable conversations. I challenge you to have that conversation with your father, but that does not count as well. Because your fathers are likely all very involved in your baseball journey. I encourage you to have that conversation with somebody as a peer as well. Put yourself in those uncomfortable conversations, because that's developing your manhood as well. And then 3 questions I would ask you to finish that off is, who is telling you the truth right now? That's something to think about in your life, because a lot of people are going to tell you what you want to hear versus what you truly need to hear. What would change if I stopped guessing and started being guided? And then finally, are you willing to be coached, or do you just want to be reassured? For me, the fear never went away. I just stopped letting it drive my life. And the moment I stopped doing this alone, everything accelerated for me and it completely changed my baseball career. So that's really all I have for y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know that was a long time. If any of y'all need to leave, feel free, but if anyone has any questions, please fire away.
I just want to say real quick that this guy just graduated college. And like for some of the dads in here, like this guy has it together. Like this guy is telling you what he experienced from the heart, like perfectly articulated. Like you young bucks don't know what it's like to stand in front of a crowd, whether it's 5 kids or 50 people, and communicate something so that other people understand. That could be a challenge. And you know, one of the things that stood out to me when I first met him was just exactly that. Like he could communicate, and I'm like, oh man, like this guy's going to be a really good coach. And then he started talking, and the content itself was powerful because it was real. It wasn't just some dude trying to spew BS at you to get into your pocketbook or to get you to go and play for this team or that team or this. Like this dude, he just wanted an opportunity to speak in front of people that are willing to listen and hopefully be able to take some stuff from him and put it towards their own goals and their own dreams. And does it mean that because you talk to him you're going to get to play at Clemson? Probably not. But it might help you play at a school at a higher level than yeah, you can be Vanderbilt, yeah. He's probably not happy with that. But it might help you get, a little bit closer to whatever that goal is for you. So, I'm just, I've been fired up about having him here to talk to you guys since we first announced him, since I first talked to him. And, I know he may not want to share it tonight, but I'll do it for him, is he's going to be around. He's going to be helping out, kind of across town, not necessarily just at Coastal, but helping baseball players any way he can. And one of those is through like a mentorship type of situation. I know he mentioned it a few times. Don't quite know what the scope of that is right now. Like obviously it'll cost money. Obviously there are some detail there, but this person wants to help ball players, and there will be opportunity to connect with him more one-on-one or more on a small group basis to kind of make sure that he's able to get what he knows and what he's experienced out there to help as many people as he can. So don't worry about getting contact information tonight. If you've got to run or whatever, I'll make sure that I send his contact information out to everybody that was here. Obviously, you have my number, so if you need to get stuff for him, I can send it to you. Shoot me a text. But does anybody have any questions at all for Don before we kick him out?
If anybody needs to leave, feel free as well, but I'll stick around as long as y'all want for questions as well, whether that's one-on-one or group.
I got a question. So 100% what Soper said, it's amazing that you're just not graduating, because I think it took you 10 years in a career to get to the point that you're at now. So kudos, amazing. For some of the young kids, right? What were you talked about overcoming the mental aspect, but on a small failure level, you made an error in a game. What were those things that you did to overcome that one error to play the next one?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I didn't get too deep into this, but my biggest differentiator was always my mind at that higher level. And at Clemson, it really took me to the next step, being able to, as I said, at Kentucky, I completely folded in those environments. At Clemson, what allowed me to actually perform well in those environments was the mental game training we had. And that for me was the biggest thing. I would start by implementing a process to yourself. So for me, the biggest thing that I did was called a physiological sigh, which is where you take a big breath in through your nose as much as you can, and you take another second short one, and then you pierce your lips, and it's like a slow exhale that's twice as long as the inhale. It's the fastest way to slow down your central nervous system. And honestly, I don't even think the kids have to know the science behind it, but it's just one of those things where even if they do it the side wrong, it's still going to help them, because you have that one thing you go to every single time. The second thing I'll say, it's called a thought stop technique, which it's a little silly, and I know I never really did it a ton, but it's a very common thing in the mental game where you'll literally wear a rubber band that's red, and you think the first thing you do after you start to catch yourself being super negative is you think of a stop sign. You visualize a stop sign. Then you say the word stop, and then you take the rubber band and you hit yourself like that. And it just is a good way to kind of, when you hit yourself, it just takes your mind off of it, and you went through a process to kind of flush it, essentially. So those are two big things for me. For me, it was always breath work. But to simplify the answer, I would say finding just one extremely simple thing to implement is the best way to go about it, because it creates the right foundation for those younger kids, because they know, I messed up, I now do this. So then it starts to help them self-regulate and enhance their ability to think as a baseball player. Because now you'll, from the outside as a dad or a coach, you'll see like, oh, like little Johnny used to be a complete mess, and maybe he is a complete mess still, but I just noticed him breathing, or I noticed him like smacking himself with a rubber band after he struck out, whatever it may be. But what you're noticing is that he's acknowledging that he's losing control, and he's trying to get back to control. So that's the biggest thing, actually. So that's why I think implementing just one simple thing is big there.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course. Yeah.
As a freshman in high school, what advice would you give yourself that could get you to the next level as far as you really? What would you do different? What would you advise the freshman today?
Great question. Think for a second, but
While he's thinking, I just want to say, if you haven't watched this guy play or watched any video of him playing, you need to, because like, honestly, when he first reached out, it was a cold call, by the way. He just reached out because he moved to the area and was looking for somewhere to kind of give back, and so we met. But I had already known his name and who he was because I watch college baseball religiously, and if you watch him, you're like, dude, that kid is electric. Like, he plays with passion, fire, intensity, like, just the person you want to be around. And he's not gonna describe that, but every team you play on has to have somebody like that if you're gonna be good, because everybody feeds off of it. So sorry, I just want to throw that out
I
there.
appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, follow me on social media at Dominic Listi. But to answer your question though, I would say the number one thing is definitely like, you gotta get in the weight room. Gotta get in the weight room and gotta put on size. Because when you look at guys at the next level, they are physical, man. Like, you're going against grown men. So that's something that, to get them in the weight room and get them eating big, more than they think they should be eating, is big. The second thing I would say, that's a must. The two things, like, you gotta have size, you gotta have speed. Those are the two biggest things that will help you at the next level. And then past that, on the baseball side of things, it's like, there are those things, like, you gotta just have a certain threshold of like bat speed as a player. You gotta have a certain level of velocity. So you gotta meet those requirements. But on top of that, the biggest thing I'll say is like, that's all the baseball training side of things, correct? But what I'm the most passionate about is the mind, because that's the separator, man. Like I said, there's so many freshmen that came in at Clemson that were much better baseball players than me, but they just weren't able to think the game the way that I was able to think it. So being a student of the game is a necessity, and being a student of yourself is a necessity. So that's where I'm so passionate about the mentorship side of things, and that's why I want to do that, is because I don't think a lot of people are able to conceptualize how important that is, and they don't really even know how to go about it. So finding somebody that has done what you want to do, right? Whether that's even just a senior in high school that knows what it takes to be a varsity player, or finding like some local kid that does lessons, or even better yet, like somebody, like I like to say, like myself, that is offering some type of thing like that. That's huge. Or you can just, if you're not willing to invest in something like that, is there's a lot of free things you can find online of people that can help you just think the game better. But yes, the two things are training your skill set, which is getting yourself more physical, getting yourself faster, and meeting those minimum requirements as a baseball player to play at the next level, which is like your velocity, your bat speed, etc. And then the other part that goes so unnoticed is developing your mind. Those are the two big things for me, so I hope that helps.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
And yeah,
Congratulations on an awesome career.
Appreciate
Thank you for making the decision to actually reinvest in the community and to speak with a group of us like this.
thank you, sir.
That was similar to my question, was what's the one thing, so it sounds like you're into that. My second question would be, there's some dad and it goes on with coaches. What's the best piece of advice you ever got from a coach?
Okay. Yeah, so the best piece of, I don't even know if I'd call it advice. I would argue it is, without me even knowing it to some degree, which is probably the best advice as a coach, because the players are defined. But our
Especially
coach,
when you have your last name.
our coach at Clemson, he would refer to the field as the playground. So we talk about levels of happiness a lot, and I won't get too deep into that. That's a lot of mental game stuff that I'm passionate about. But the highest level is level 4, which is transcendence, which is essentially just knowing your why. So the best piece of advice I got was somebody challenging me to know my why. Like, why am I actually doing this? Why am I so possessed after going after this game of baseball? And it made me realize that my why was because I had fun playing the game. That's why I played baseball. It's not because I wanted everyone to follow me on social media. It's not because I wanted attention. It's not because I wanted money. It's because the little kid in me loved playing baseball. And that was honestly the best piece of advice I got. So like when kids get super stressed out there in high school, like just reminding them why they played. And maybe it's not even you, like for example, like I said, my coach didn't necessarily give me advice. He just like guided me toward the answer. And I figured it out myself. So that for me was the best thing, to be honest. Yes, sir.
So when he was 9, he really struggled. Mentally, he'd get in the box and it was terrifying for him. He's 11 now, and I really believe he's one of the best hitters in the area. But midway through a season, almost every season, that 9-year-old comes out. What do you say to him to help him kind of snap out of that? Get him back to the player he knows he is.
So I will relate back to implementing some type of system or process, number one, that we talked about earlier. Something to ground yourself. That's very important. Very, very important, because it'll spiral very quickly. Like those stoplights I talked about, the green light, what we talk about, is essentially what we call a flow state. I don't know if everyone here is familiar with that. But when you think about, let me ask you this question. When you're hitting very well, what are you thinking in the box? Nothing. Nothing. When you're hitting very poorly, what are you thinking about? Everything. Exactly. So, green is that flow state where there's nothing going on in your mind. It's just a black void, right? It's essentially just a black outer space. Yellow is anything that's not green and is not red. So it's anything in between. What you want to do is spend as much time in the green lights as possible, and obviously as little time in red lights as possible. To me, that's like him losing it is red lights right there, right? So that's a hard question, is because you just got to implement a process, number one. That's the most actionable item. And then secondly is like just being able to unpack it together, because he's 11 years old. He's not going to understand the high enough level of critical thinking to truly snap out of that the way like a college baseball player is, right? So that's where I think you kind of have to come into play. And what I was talking about earlier is maybe it's not as much as telling him, but it's guiding him with the questions, right? Helping him kind of, you want to say something to him, but if your dad tells you something, are you going to listen to him all the time? Probably not. So what you essentially need to do more or less is trick him into figuring out himself. But that is a tricky question because there is no magic pill. I'm a firm believer in that. My coach at Indiana State would always say, like, there's no magic nugget, there's no magic pill. It's all the mundane things. So it's the actionable item, number one. And then number two, it's being able to sit down and unpack those things so he can understand where he is when things are good, where he is when things are starting to get bad. And then, like we said, we implemented that process so maybe he can bring himself back a little bit and not go all the way to that other side. But it's going to happen. So when it happens, unpack what is happening, what he's feeling, and why we even got there in the first place. So I think the sooner he's able to understand those things, the sooner he'll be able to be more consistent as a baseball player. I hope that helps. It's a challenging question to answer, but I hope it helps.
Any kids got questions? Don't be shy.
It could be even silly things, even if it's just like, what type of things did Clemson have, or something like that, versus a Division III school. I don't care.
Don, what'd you like to do outside of baseball?
Good question, buddy.
Well, if I'm being completely honest with you, baseball was essentially everything for a lot of the time there, but it was just hanging out with buddies, like when you get to a college campus, like go to the football games, like go hang out with your friends, like go out, go have fun, you know? Like, I mean, I love sporting events, so I love going to all the Clemson football games because there's 100,000 people there, it's crazy, stuff like that. And just enjoying the amenities and whatnot that come with a school like that. But, yes sir.
What was the most challenging transition from high school to college?
The most challenging transition was, well, the hardest transition of my career was definitely from Division III to Division I. That Indiana State season, what I talked about that fall, was very challenging for me. And I think it's kind of similar in the sense of like high school to college as well. Is you get shocked by just how slim the margins are. Because at high school you can get away with a lot more. At college you cannot. And that's why I say, that's why I said to you earlier, I'm glad you asked this. This is why the mental game is so important. Because in high school you can rely off of your physicality. Like if you're a Clemson baseball recruit out of high school, you don't have to think, you're just better than people. You're just better. But when you get on campus, that's gonna be against your detriment. Because those other kids are just as good as you, and you don't have those other things in your mind. So the biggest challenge is understanding how you're able to stay consistent enough, because those margins are so thin. They're so thin that everyone in high school, like you kind of could be like, oh, these are the kids that are playing. In college, you can argue like this kid on the bench is a really good baseball player. But the margins are so small that the coach gets paid a lot of money to decide what's better. And usually they trust the guys that are more consistent between the ears. So that's why I think the biggest jump to the next level is how advanced these older players are in understanding themselves and understanding the game. That's why I think understanding and teaching and learning the mental game in high school and at a young level is necessity if you want to play at the next level.
How different is like the school to baseball and college?
Good question. So, I think it definitely depends on what your major is as well. Like for example, if you're doing pre-med, right, that's going to be super hard. But then again, the best way I'd say is that you have a lot of autonomy, meaning it all lies on to you. So you could skip your classes if you want to, and nobody would probably know about it. But you also would not do well in school and not set yourself up in the future. Or you could put yourself around good people that go to class all the time and know how to balance both things. So very quickly you can either go down the path of becoming a very responsible young man at a very young age, or you can slip into the path of the kids that like to stay, do bad things, and skip class. So to answer your question, it's honestly your choice. And that's the hardest thing about it. And that's why a lot of kids fall flat on their face at college, and they do terrible in school, and they fall off the wagon with athletics as well. So it's like, do you want it bad enough, yes or no? And honestly, sometimes it's not that hard to actually succeed, because a lot of these people can't stay away from doing the wrong things. So if you just keep doing the right things long enough, you're gonna win. That's what I did. I just kept doing the right things for long enough, and I won. Because most of the kids around me, they kept doing the wrong things. It's not like I was better, I just did the little things right again and again. So it's your choice, in my opinion.
What'd you major in?
So I got my undergraduate in marketing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in business. There was a couple different business degrees I wanted to get into, but my Division III school didn't have it because it was like limited options. And then I got my Master's of Business Administration. So your MBA, I got that at Indiana State and Clemson, but it's a Clemson degree because that's where I finished. So that's essentially for people that kind of want to be in management positions or possibly run a business one day.
After living in Chicago, what made you come here after college?
So I just moved here honestly because of work. So I got a job in the medical space at a medical device company, and I came here because of work. It's a tough industry to break into fresh out of school. So I was very excited that I was able to essentially just talk my way into an opportunity, and I took the opportunity and came here. And like I said, I was like, what's missing? Baseball. So I just started reaching out to people and got blessed to be a part of Coastal here. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Did you have any fruitcake superstitions?
Oh man, you don't even want to know. I had a million
That's such a
secrets.
good question.
That's the best question tonight so far. I'll give you that one. You don't even. I was bad at this stuff. I was like OCD to another level. I'm like doing the same routine. I'm like touching my shoe. I did a ton of crazy things. I drew the same stuff on me every single time. This is really, really silly. You guys are never gonna meet anybody else that ever does this in your life. But I always would get super nervous before games. So all throughout college, all 166 college games in a row, I took Pepto-Bismol before every single game, which is essentially what you take when you have a stomachache. So that was my really, really weird pregame ritual. And then with my teammates and everything, I would create some things as well. Like some of my boys and me, like we'd do handshakes, we'd like hug each other for 5 seconds and like let go right away, and like just no more, no less, because we hugged each other and we won the last game for 5 seconds. And if we lost, we did 6 seconds, you know, just a ton of weird baseball player things. But yeah. Yes, sir.
You talk about nutrition, like not a struggle, but a thing we're getting more towards is like fueling yourself before practice and after practice.
Yeah.
Even just to get into like a 6-hour day of school.
Yeah.
And like why you gas after practice? Like you had enough sleep, but then you didn't have enough. You literally just didn't have enough calories, not even protein. Like I know that. I'm sure you're.
Yeah.
Been
So
through all kinds of athletic trainers that have got you to where you need to be, but we're on the forefront of that in high school.
that's a really good question. So when I went from Chicago and Indiana to South Carolina, that was a big shock for me because we're working hard outside. South Carolina is very, very humid year round. So we were blessed, obviously at Clemson, we had like a whole kitchen of everything. So you could kind of just have food there all the time. But at my Division III, I would prep my own food and whatnot throughout the off season. So I don't know what you guys do at home or whatnot, but it's like if you do 3 meals a day with the family, it's like I would encourage you to be like, I'm gonna take, you're so young, man, like you can just starve stuff down. So it's like peanut butter and jelly, like with a ton of that, or like a protein shake and just shove in a banana and like you just gotta load calories into something that's super quick and easy on the go. And that's like I would pre-make when I got home from like a baseball lift and I'd go to my place like Coastal, I would pre-make a protein shake that I could just grab on the go, and then I'd have a Rice Krispie treat with me or something. And I'm sure that's something you'd love to eat, but there's actually a science behind that. Like Rice Krispie treats are fast absorbing carbohydrates, which are great things to have before you go into a workout. That's good to keep your energy up. So I would say you're probably not having enough carbohydrates. So in your big meals, like I don't know if you eat dinner before or after practice, like I would say to eat your like starchy carbs, not to get too nerdy now, but your heavier carbs, I would say to eat those like after practice if you could, and then eat those like lighter carbs before practice, like a banana or a Rice Krispie treat. Like just throw and chew those things down. That's gonna get your calorie intake up, and it's also gonna give you energy that you're gonna use because the carbohydrates are your first source of energy that you're going to burn in practice and whatnot. But then again, to just, like you said, to hammer home the calories, protein shakes are just the cheat code. They really are. It's just such a calorie-dense food, like with the milk in there, the protein, the bananas, like whatever else you want to go in there. Like even if you've got a sweet tooth, like you're a skinny kid, man. Like we got to get bigger. You know what I mean? So it's like you can have a little bit of junk food. You're young enough. You got a fast metabolism. Like a little bit of a dirty bulk to some degree. Like you don't have shame in it. Like I know a lot of kids that did that stuff. And even at Clemson, a lot of kids that just threw down 5 Uncrustables a day from the locker room. You know what I mean? Like they would just throw those things down like it was nothing. But yeah, I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else? No. Yes, sir.
Did you get to meet Jasper?
I did meet him. It was awesome to meet him. He was a really good dude. He kind of did like I did right now to you guys. He spoke to us for a really long time just about his career because he has a very, very interesting past with the Marlins. where he was kind of like bullied in their locker room actually, and essentially like was very happy that he got traded out of New York. He refused to not be his authentic self the whole time. Just a great personality, very vibrant dude, and he's kind of made me a little bit of a Yankees fan because like he was such an awesome guy when he came in and made some videos with us and everything. But yeah, I did meet him. Thought I saw somebody else. Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest difference from taking lessons to like getting instruction from your own hitting coaches?
As in, for like a college perspective, or
I mean, I see it a lot where, like, my son gets a lot of lessons.
okay,
And we've been seeing the same guy for 2+ years. There's a lot of times where the things he's learning in lesson, we go hit with the team,
okay.
and then automatically they're telling us stop doing X, Y, and Z. How do you balance that part? Like,
Yeah, it's a tricky question for sure. So it's like, to me, it really depends on just like what is being taught and whatnot as well. You know, there's two ways to look at it. Number one is you have to look out for yourself first and foremost. I truly do believe that. So if there's something that is being taught that you're like completely against, like you don't have to create a big scene about it. Like don't be that person. Like nobody wants to deal with those people, but you don't have to like buy in on it, right? But secondly, I am just a big believer that it's very case dependent. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of guys in this baseball space that I don't think there's one right way to do anything. There's not one right way to swing a baseball bat. I can tell you that wholeheartedly. Anyone that tells you that there is lying straight to your face. I promise you that. But the way things are taught, there's good and bad teachers. That's just the best thing I can say. So I know that's not a great answer, but I think you just kind of have to rely on your intuition to decide if somebody is a good or bad teacher at that point. And then just use your emotional intelligence to respond accordingly. I know that's not cut and dry, but that's my true opinion on it. Yes, sir.
What was it like to play against them?
It was really fun. I actually, if you go on my Instagram, I was the person that made like the behind the back catch for the first play of that, and we like did a whole mob of that all and everything. But it was a really cool experience. But like I said, for me, it was one of those things where it was a one-time thing. I could never go full into the bit and everything, because that's just not my personality. However, it was definitely an unbelievably fun experience because the whole town rallied around it. We did the whole thing beforehand, interacting with the fans and whatnot, and just doing all the silly dances and being a goofball. Like I said, it's all about having fun, man. Like, don't take yourself too seriously. And that was the one big takeaway I had from this game. They're like, we don't care. People are going to talk crap about us because somebody's going to do it. You can never make everybody happy, and just have some fun with it all. So I definitely had fun.
So, going back to like nutrition and like weightlifting, I hear a lot of like baseball players say like, oh, I don't bench, I don't do like specific workouts because they say it's like not like good for them, it's not gonna help. Did you like cut anything out like for nutrition, like sugar and junk food and all that, and like working out, like did you not do any workouts?
I'll start with the workout part of that question. I don't agree with that. I think that, it only becomes a problem if you just do not take care of yourself in the slightest. If you have a little bit of guidance with mobility training, you're going to be completely okay. All the baseball players I know are like not afraid of weights whatsoever. They never once are like, oh, I can't put this heavy weight on my back or press this heavy weight up because I'm scared it might hurt myself. Like, you're gonna get hurt playing sport. You know what I mean? It only becomes a problem if it's like a massive imbalance. Like, you guys are all so young that like you just need to push yourself farther away from it. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, sure, there's better and worse, but like you just got to work hard. And when I was in high school, I didn't know the best way to train. I just worked hard. My coach was kind of scared of us, like bench pressing and stuff in high school, and I had a little bit of a weaker upper body at the time. We just lifted legs all the time, and that was fine and all. But eventually, I like realized that upper body strength is a great thing because forearm, like grip strength, is very, very important in baseball. And what better way to have grip strength than being able to bench press like 100-pound dumbbells or row heavy weight or do pull-ups. But that is one thing I'll say is grip strength is super important, even as a young age. Even if you just get like a forearm trainer or like the whole rice bucket thing. I never really did that, but it's fine, you can do that. But yeah, forearms, super important for back speed and back control. So that's like the number one thing for a young kid that I would recommend. And then the second part of your question was the nutrition side, right? So the nutrition side, I think I'm very big on the nutrition side of things right now in my life, but like, that's where I'm at in life. You're so young right now that I don't think you need to be restricting yourself. I don't think you need to say like, I can't have fast food. Like, you can have fast food. It's completely okay. You know what's better? It's honestly better to eat your fast food and get dirty calories in than it is to undereat at your age as an athlete. Like, truly believe that. And that's a fact, actually, in my opinion. You're more likely to get hurt not fueling yourself than you are fueling yourself with bad food. However, with that being said, I would like for people to stick to whole foods as much as possible. So that's like grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef, or just ground beef in general. Like obviously your eggs. Like I'm a snob with all the food that I have. I like to have the highest quality of eggs, the highest quality of beef. But as long as you're just eating eggs, beef, like your protein shakes, whatever it may be, your chickens, like what I like to stick to that. And if you're eating out, like if you're eating fast food to throw your calories in, man, like that's better than being undersized at that age. Because you have such a young metabolism, you can get away with it. Like I'm in good shape now, and I promise you, I still eat fast food. And I ate a lot of junk food when I was in high school. Like, you go to eat with your buddies, like, you don't got money. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to get that $5, $10 meal at McDonald's. So, you're going to be fine. Just make sure you eat enough protein, get enough calories, is what I'd say.
When you were hitting, was there a pitch or pitch location that you struggled with the most?
Lefty on lefty sliders. I was a lefty. That was my thing, man. Like, righties, I felt good all the time. I used to struggle a lot with change-ups in the past, but then this past year, I honestly absolutely mashed change-up. I almost think, for some reason, the better pitchers, like I love their change-ups. It just like, it speeds up your barrel, man. Once you kind of learn, there's an art to it, and I don't want to get all dirty about it, but there's a very much so an art to hitting changes specifically. But lefty on lefty sliders, I'd be lying to you if I told you I figured that whole thing out. There was an ugly part of the season for me where me and Cam were back to back, and then we had another lefty after us, and they just brought in Louisville the weekend we faced them. I think I had, let's say 15 at-bats that weekend, 13 or 14 of them were against lefties. They brought in a lefty every single time for us. But that was definitely my biggest kryptonite, but just still figuring out a way to get to first base was I was able to neutralize that a little bit.
What's your biggest piece of advice for recruiting?
So number one, I would say is like you got to get yourself recruitable. So that kind of goes back to all the stuff we talked about. Like that's the most important thing. Like you're not going to be able to. There's no magic tricks when it comes to recruiting. You know what I mean? Like if you're good enough, you're going to be at that school. You're probably going to end up where you belong. Like I ended up at Clemson and I ended up as one of the better players in the ACC last year. But out of high school, I was not that. I am not claiming that. I was a Division III, Division II kid out of high school, junior college kid out of high school. I was not that. So that's number one. You got to get yourself recruitable. But number two, off of that, is you got to be realistic with yourself as well. You got to know where you're at, and then be like, what do I want to get out of this whole college baseball experience, right? So maybe that means you go to a Division III school. Maybe that means you go to a JUCO. I don't know. But those are the two main things. And then I would say finding somebody that's been through the process or can help guide you through the process is definitely very important as well. Because sometimes it's hard to, when you're getting recruited, it's a very exciting time for you. So having an authoritative figure or somebody that you can talk to, obviously a parent would be a good thing, is important because they can usually decipher BS a little bit better than you can because you're gonna kind of fall beneath the spell of a coach that's talking to you because you're very excited. So having somebody that can help guide you throughout that process is very important. So the three things to wrap that up for you is number one, become a better player that people actually want to recruit. Number two is being honest with yourself. And number three is having somebody that can help you through that process.
Did you do like anything other than like send emails out to get your name out to colleges for your first recruit?
So I was really uninformed when it was the first time around. So I honestly never even emailed people because I just didn't know what to do. I had no guidance throughout the process, which is why I'm very passionate about helping people through those processes and whatnot. But yes, emailing is very important. It's a very tough thing to decipher. So this is where I said having somebody that has been through the process and can help guide you is important, because you'll have a lot of coaches that will send you camp invites and whatnot, and it's like just a money grab. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of them are money grabs. There are times that they can be beneficial. There are times, but a lot of them are money grabs. For example, I'll be completely transparent. Like at Clemson baseball, when we have those Clemson baseball camps, those are to get the coaches paid. Like they are not like finding players in there. Like sure, they might find somebody once or twice in a couple of years. Like, one of my friends, Aiden Kanak, who's the #1 pitcher at Clemson, actually went to a camp. So I will say there are stories like that. But they're making their money off of those camps. So sure, there's some good events and whatnot. It's just you definitely got to get yourself like a profile and whatnot. I don't know if is it like PBR or Perfect Game out here? Which one is bigger?
So, well, PBR is pretty big.
Yeah, so like you got to get yourself a profile. You know what I mean? Like that's definitely part of the game nowadays, for sure. But there also is a point of, there's a diminishing margin of return. What I mean is, you can do too much of it and not get more out of it. So, playing, just becoming the best baseball player you can, going to like those good tournaments that you guys are going to, being a good on like your high school team and whatnot, and then in today's day and age, when it becomes time, like don't be posting videos online as a freshman or sophomore in high school. Nobody cares. To be complete, like nobody cares. You're not gonna get anything from that. But as like a junior and senior, it becomes more applicable. Because coaches will actually be seeing that and looking for that. I know that was kind of an unorganized response, but the one piece of advice I'll give you that I learned the hard way from a Division III to Division I was I didn't have great video. My dad videotaped all my at-bats, but they have synergy at Division I schools, which is just, you can't match that. There's a ton of cameras all over the place, and they can just see everything about you to the point that like, it's like they know when you wake up, when you go to bed, how you put your pants on. It's creepy. But if I'm a left-handed hitter, right, and I'm right here, I want you to get a video of the swing from the front, right? So if you have like your dad recording you in a game or somebody recording you in a game, I want to be able to like film your swing this way. I don't want to film you from the back with the pitcher involved. Like that's not good because I can't see anything from that. Sure, it would be good to get some ball flack here or there, but they want to see how you move more than anything. They want to see your swing from the front, and they also want to see how you get out of the box. So those are the two big things that I would say that get some footage on for sure in game.
Thank you.
For sure. Did somebody have their hand over here? Yes.
What college did you want to go to?
When I was very young, I went through a phase where I liked Vanderbilt, and at that time, I think everybody did. So Vanderbilt was like my dream school, and I also thought Mississippi State was really cool when I was younger as well. Those were my two big ones. What about you?
Florida State.
Florida State. Florida State was super, super cool when we played there this past year. They did that whole thing in a sold-out stadium on their graduation night. Shameless plug, hit a go-ahead home run in the 10th inning there. We still lost that game. That was pretty. One of my favorite baseball games I ever played was at Florida State. Did I see it? Yes.
When you were in college, what was your favorite field to play at besides Clemson? What was your favorite field to play at?
Florida State was unbelievable. Unbelievable. That was super, super cool. Other than that, we played opening weekend at Globe Life Stadium, which is the Texas Rangers stadium, so that was unbelievably awesome. And then, I'm trying to think of some other cool places that come to mind. When I was at Indiana State, I thought that Southern Mississippi was like really cool, just in the sense that it's in the middle of nowhere in this country, but they love baseball there, which just made it really, really cool. So those were some of my favorite places to play. And then the last one actually is a minor league stadium that we played the ACC tournament at, which I believe was in Durham, North Carolina. It was really cool. It was like the old Durham Stadium. So that was an unbelievable place to play as well. And then you had a question, right?
Same one.
Same one? Okay. Anyone else, or are we all good? Well, I thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you're able to get something great out of this. If you guys want to connect or come talk some more one-on-one, get my phone number or anything, I'd be more than willing to share that with you all. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a great night.